So two warmongers, Donald Trump from the US and his puppet Keir Starmer from the UK, met today as they jointly addressed the media a short while ago. You may know that Trump is currently on a state visit to the UK. Yes, the current UK government is super chuffed to have this demonic politician and pedophile Jeffrey Epstein's best mate as their guest in England. As expected, both Trump and Starmer were asked about the ongoing genocide in Gaza that these two potential war criminals are directly involved in. And as expected, we didn't hear anything meaningful and substantial from these two poodles of bloodthirsty terrorist Benjamin Netanyahu on the urgency to stop the carnage in Gaza. If anything, both Trump and Starmer appeared pretty scared of war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu, and I will tell you how in a bit. But let's look at how Trump was welcomed in the UK. His state visit coincided with his critics expressing their resolve to embarrass him for his friendship with pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, who allegedly worked for the Israeli spy agency Mossad to trap Western politicians by using underage girls. Some protesters flashed this video on Windsor Castle. I mean, this was indeed quite a remarkable development. Just watch it for yourself. The police have apparently arrested a few individuals for pulling off this incredible act. So clearly, Trump's visit hadn't started on a good note. Whilst he was in the UK, the police in London were accused of confiscating a truck carrying a digital banner showing Trump's involvement with Epstein. Both Trump and Starmer then addressed the media this afternoon. Trump was pointedly asked by two British reporters, namely Chris Mason from the BBC and Robert Peston from ITV News, on why he wasn't using his so-called power to stop the barbarism of his Israeli master Netanyahu. Of course, they didn't use the word master. That's how I address this demonic creature from the settler colony. But how did Trump answer that question is important. First, listen to Chris Mason's question.
Mr. President, the UK is expected to recognise a Palestinian state in the coming days as the killing in Gaza continues. It often seems that you're the only person that Israel will listen to. What more can you say to them to tell them to stop? And why is the UK's position on a Palestinian state, in your view, wrong?
Well, simply, I want the hostages released now, right now. Not one, two, we'll give you three more tomorrow. And, you know, like it's been, but we're the ones that got all the hostages released. We got many, many came to the Oval Office, and I've heard stories like I've never thought even possible. There was no humanity, no anything. I said to them, I said, was there any warmth shown during this stay? Like they offered you a little extra meal, they gave you a little smile, and they said, don't worry, you'll be okay. And every one of them said, not even a little bit. Amazing, you know, to think that during this stay, long stay in some cases, we had a man the other day, 451 days he was there. I always ask that question. And was there any warmth shown? Just a little word of, you know, encouragement. And the answer is every time, absolutely not. I'm shocked to hear it, because in the worst cases, there's always somebody that comes through. We have to remember October 7th, one of the worst, most violent days in the history of the world, not just there, the history of the world. And I got to see the tapes, and I wish I didn't see them, actually. But I got to see them. And I want an end. I want the hostages released. And I think it's going to be okay. But it has been a brutal period of time. But this has been going on for a long time. This is not something that's over the last year, 2 years. But this has been for decades and decades. but we want it to end. We have to have the hostages back immediately. That's what the people of Israel want. They want them back, and we want the fighting to stop, and it's going to stop. But a lot of bad things. You know, Hamas said that they're going to put the hostages up as bait. They're going to put the hostages in front of any attack. And that's pretty brutal. We haven't heard that one in a long time. So we have to remember that. So I have a disagreement with the Prime Minister on that score. Okay? One of our few disagreements, actually.
Can you see this horrible man's dishonesty? I mean, utter dishonesty. Just because he's frightened of the prospect of Mossad releasing his dirty acts from the Epstein files, he simply couldn't even mention Netanyahu or talk about his ongoing savagery in Gaza City. Let's not forget that psychopath Netanyahu is dropping American bombs at the residential complexes in Gaza City with the help of UK spy planes. Instead, Trump blamed Hamas for not providing extra meals to their hostages, despite knowing that his Israeli masters have been starving Palestinians since March this year. But this genocidal maniac thinks Hamas must provide extra meals to hostages even when average Palestinians are being starved to death. Shouldn't he have asked his Israeli masters to increase the supply of food into Gaza so that hostages don't die of starvation? In response to Robert Peston's question, this warmonger cooked up more fake stories to divert the topic as he talked about 7th of October attacks and how Hamas had apparently chopped off the babies into pieces. While no one has seen the evidence of Hamas chopping off the babies, the entire world has witnessed thousands of ripped bodies of Palestinian babies that Israeli terrorists caused using American bombs. Who can deny that?
Robert Peston, ITV. Mr. President, you uniquely, you alone in the whole world, have the power to persuade Prime Minister Netanyahu to stop the demolition of Gaza City, to stop the starvation of Palestine, and to stop the killing of civilians. If not now, when will you exercise that power to tell him to stop?
Sure.
And then for both of you on...
But you do understand about October 7th. You do understand.
So believe me, I understand.
One of the worst days in the history of humanity. What happened, I have seen the tapes. Babies that are 4 months old and just chopped up to pieces. And you've seen the tapes and I've seen the tapes. You're a professional and so am I. And people forget about October 7th. I can't forget about it. So I want it to end, but I want the hostages back. I don't want the hostages used as human shields, which is what Hamas is threatening to do.
But as soon as they're back, that's the moment you will tell Netanyahu
well,
to stop.
It would certainly help, but I have to have the hostages back. And I don't want them back piecemeal, as I said before. I want them back.
Everyone knew that Trump is a racist, or shall I say, enemy of humanity. But despite that, many had hoped that he would show some compassion to Palestinians in the face of the biggest Holocaust since the Second World War. So everyone is surprised, including me, by his fear of Netanyahu. So much so that he is not even criticizing the Israeli action of unspeakable brutality in Gaza. Starmer was no different. He was the same today. Not once did he choose to condemn Netanyahu. Yes, he did express his outrage on the goings-on in Gaza during today's press conference, but that was to condemn Hamas.
Thank you. For Prime Minister Starmer, if you feel so strongly about officially recognizing Palestine for statehood, why are you waiting for President Trump to leave the country? Why can't you just do it right now? And isn't there a risk in rewarding Hamas with that?
Well, let me be really clear about Hamas. They're a terrorist organization who can have no part in any future governance in Palestine. And what happened on October the 7th was the worst attack since the Holocaust. We have extended family in Israel. I understand firsthand the psychological impact that that had across Israel. So I know exactly where I stand in relation to Hamas. Hamas, of course, don't want a two-state solution. They don't want peace. They don't want a ceasefire. So I'm very clear where I stand on Hamas. Okay. On the question of recognition, I made my position clear at the end of July as to the timing, which has got nothing to do with this state visit, and discussed it with the President, as you would expect amongst two leaders who respect each other and like each other and want to bring about a better solution in the best way that we can. Thank you so much.
And did you notice the praise that Starmer received from his American boss when he criticized Hamas? And how did he criticize the Israeli brutalities? By flaunting his family links with the illegal settler colony. Well, if you don't know, Starmer's wife is a Jew, and perhaps this is the Israeli connection he was flaunting. Meanwhile, Israelis are murdering Palestinians and torturing Palestinian hostages with total impunity. These blood-sucking leeches from Israel have slaughtered more than 50 Palestinians today alone, just today. This doesn't include the 4 who died of forced starvation caused by animal Netanyahu. Close to 500 people have now been killed by forced starvation in the last few weeks alone. The world is silent, and Trump and Starmer are busy competing with each other as to who is the bigger poodle of war criminal Netanyahu. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism on buymeacoffee.com and Patreon. If you too think that our journalism is worth supporting, then you too should consider becoming part of it. Details are there in the description of this video. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.